Guys, I'm out here with the Kmart van disassembling it. That seems a little a few steps back type of issue, but yeah, it's just not put together exactly right yet. I never hooked up the horns. I'm having a major problem though with the shifter. This shifter is so tight that it's just so very difficult to pull into gear. It can be done, and that's the way I've been driving it, but it's causing an issue possibly with a little bit of puking of transmission fluid. The rebuild shop for the transmission said that it's likely due to the fact that it's not being clicked right into gear perfectly. And that's when I told them, oh, well, maybe that's because I can't really feel the clicking. You know, it's so tight. I have to jerk it into gear hard. And with it possibly being driven a little bit out of sync with the exact position, it's puking out some stuff out of the overflow once it gets parked. And it's done that about 3 times. So it's really time to address the problem with this shifter. I took this cover off and oiled up in that little crevice there, and I oiled the bushing down here at the floor, and I oiled the linkage here, but I think it goes a little deeper than that. It's not just an oiling issue, I don't think. So I'm going to tear into it and figure it out. So basically just isolating the problem here, I've removed the linkage that goes back to the transmission. It's a big rod, and of course now it moves very freely, and you can feel the clicking. Alright, so if that's park, reverse, neutral, drive, second, and first. Okay, so that's free. So the problem is from here up. Now with that disconnected, I'm going to go back up to the top and test. And it's still extremely stiff, as I had guessed it would be. So now let's take this cover off and just do more testing. Doing a little research on Facebook on the van page there. They said that one said that it's this bushing down here. Grease it, you know, all that stuff. And then another guy said there's this pin and bore that's causing some issues in the steering column up here. And I tend to believe that a little more because I got my son out here and I said, stick your head down in here real far, and I'm gonna actuate the lever, and you tell me where the noise is coming from. Is it coming from your left ear or your right? And he said the right ear. And I did the same, and we've determined the noise is really coming from up in here. So I took the horn cap off by pressing down and turning to the left. Pops off. I'm going to get this steering wheel off. I'm going to start digging into this thing and seeing, you know, what's causing this issue. So to get the steering wheel off, I went through some major pains. At first, these threads stripped on the inside of this, and I was like, uh-oh, I'm up the creek big time. But I went and got a tap to go to the biggest size that this steering wheel puller included, which was a 3/8 16. Went ahead and bought a nice tap handle because I've never had a real good one. This came with the correct drill bit and the tap. And once I tapped that out, it gripped enough that the steering wheel came up with the puller. And I am very relieved by that. All right, with the wheel off, I'm seeing a couple of things. This explains why the turn signal would not cancel when turning. Can't remember which way it was, probably left. And then when I straighten out, it did never cancel on its own because of this broken piece in there. What else I have determined is inside here, there's that plunger the guy was talking about, way up inside there, and it's moving freely and the way it probably should. And what that allows for is, I don't know exactly, but this little thing here comes down and you can't just throw this thing out of park because, let's see, up above here, this little line is park. So you can't just, a kid couldn't just come up and pull down and drive through the wall. So you have to come up like that, then down to get into reverse or drive. But despite this looking as if it works properly, this plunger is not stuck. I still have the extreme tightness in the shifter. So the mystery is still not solved. And down here in the floorboard, as you can see, I've been saturating this grommet or nylon bushing thing with everything known to man, even transmission fluid. It's all in the floorboard. No change to the stiffness. So after several days of this soaking in grease, and it got absolutely no better, it was still extremely tight to pull down into gear. So this, I unhooked a couple of these wires under the dash. The transmission is already disconnected from earlier. I went ahead and disconnected this from the dash, 2 bolts, and from the rag joint. So this is probably going to pull on out now. There it is. So from what I'm told, there's 2 different kinds of steering columns for this generation of van. So the issue is somewhere in here, and I found out that it basically needs to be rebuilt to solve the issue. There's some kind of problem with like aluminum bushing, and it corrodes with the metal within. It just has a reaction that causes the tightness, and there's like bits and pieces of broken or corroded metal inside this causing the issue. So some stuff I wanted to do while the grill is off. I should have done this a long time ago, but this thing needed some insulation on the side of the firewall where, you know, I've already got the doghouse insulated, but the sides of the firewall really need to take this off. So I've got some trickling fluids. I hate also that I'm going to have to disconnect the transmission lines from the radiator to do this. But it's something that really needed to be done. Thank you. So these areas here, like right there, there, up, and sides, I just did a rough cutout with paper. All right, so here it is, the final product. We got fully encapsulated. Put the parts back. I just need to put this back on. The solenoid. The next thing that I need to do before I put the grill back on is the heater. I never put that in. I just have it looped. here. And I've got to hook up both horns. I've only got one horn. I added a dual horn setup. And then I think I can put the grill back on the Kmart van. So the heater in these things are definitely not very complicated. One hookup here and one there. And then on the other side, there's a cable that drops down, opens and closes this door. In another video, I cleaned out and tested this heater core. It's good. So I'm gonna wipe all this out, or else it'll be all over the floorboard soon, because it's just dilapidated junk. So after getting all that broken down foam out, I'm gonna put some more of this insulation in here to keep it from clanking. It'll open and close softer and insulate from the outside air. Both sides of the door. This one wraps all the way around. It goes up a bit. I would say that's going to work as well as it possibly can. So I'm pushing this thing up into place, and it's going to rest on this thing that's on the inside here. This plastic piece. And there's plenty of room to work over here, so that's no issue, but over here there's not much. So I'm going to go ahead and put this cable on. It holds to a bracket here, and then latches onto there. I don't know, is there supposed to be a pin in that or something? So I'll figure it out, but you're also kind of reaching up here and making sure the vent goes into place as you're doing this. What's in the box? Ooh, this thing is really well packaged. Got strapping on it and everything. Oh, well-made box. Packaging. The steering column. So this piece here has totally been refurbished. I am really impressed. I know it's going to work perfect. This comes from none other than Kevin Fillingham, who is well known with these second generation vans for being a parts source. Kevin Fillingham, I met him on Facebook. You can look him up if you need one of these, get a price. He refurbishes them himself. And he's a great guy, easy to work with. And I'm looking forward to pulling that handle easily into gear. Before I do, I've got to swap all my guts, electronics, into this. There's the wire that's gonna pull through. Turn signal stalk and the let's see, the turn signal stalk itself, the canceling mechanism, and the hazard light. I'm also noticing I'm going to have to put in my indicator. Okay. Shouldn't be a big deal. So let's see what we're dealing with here. We obviously have 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4 to start with. I'm going to pull this out of the way. So this pulls out easily enough, but this is still attached with this. This lever has got to come out. Threads out to the left. Kind of walking this out a little bit. It's tied up against that bushing or grommet there. Everything is loose, but we've got to get this black bracket out because it does not come with the steering wheel. I think the best way to get this wire out is to take this clip right here, take it off. All right, now this whole pipe right here will come off. And I can pull this. This black bracket that's in here is held on from behind. So if I take these screws out here, it's probably gonna release. Let's find out. Yep, it comes right out. You really don't even have to take this and this off. I did though, because I'm having to replace this part because it was broke, but you could just take this off from behind, take the pipe off that covers the wire, and it will all come right out. Came up to a stumbling block here. This giant connector will not fit through the tiny hole. That means, unfortunately, I'm going to have to take these little pins out of the connector. Now, if you look real carefully, you'll see the tab. That tab right there is what's holding that pin in. I've got to bend it inward and then pull the wire out of the back of the connector. I've got to do that with all 6, or let's see, 6 wires. And then when I go to push them back in, I got to push them in the same exact spot. And to push them in and make them lock, I'm going to have to bend that tab very, very slightly back out, push it in, and let it snap. So to document how these go, looking at it from this angle, it's going to be light blue first, second red, third white with a red stripe, and if you drop to the bottom here from the left to right, you have it looks like a blue, dark blue with a white stripe, and then you have a green in the middle, and then a white with a blue stripe. So it appears that I have to do the same thing with this one. Oh no, it came on through, so that's great. Now's the time to replace this turn signal canceller. So I bought this SM10. That's the right one for this make and model. You can see here it is broken on the old one. So you first start by breaking off this piece right here. They give you some replacements. Supposedly you just kind of take a plier and bend that until it pops off. You don't want to disturb the lip that is sitting in. That was extremely difficult to get out, but got it. Now I should be able to lift this off very carefully. At this point, I'm supposed to just cut this close to the part. Let's just try this on for size. Boy, that's tight. I didn't expect that to be that tight. Yeah. It does go on, so before you put all this together, you see how these green wires are in that little valley there? Well, these new ones, I believe they go in the top valley right there. So you pull those through before you put everything together. All right, so now all snapped together, but I haven't put the clip on yet. I'm not going to right now. The little wires are routed appropriately. I'll splice those in. So far, so good. Got these spliced in. I think there's enough room for these big fat splices, but we're going to find out, aren't we? So we've got this piece. You want to make sure that this bevel is going outward. All right, then you have this little washer right here. Then the inner piece. All right, now before you put that on, you need to run the wires through the little valley, just like that, through here. All right, when those are routed, you can start squeezing everything together. That's not ideal, but should ride. It looks like it's got enough room, and it's pretty strong. Now I'm going to attempt to put this little thing on. It's a press on. I'm going to try to push this on with a little small socket. I think I felt that thing snap into place. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. So now I'm going to take the two screws that go into the back of this. So for these to snap back in, you have to bend the little pin back a little bit, just like that. If you don't do that, it will not snap into place. Bad news. Put the steering column in all wired up and expecting it to work exactly like it did before, and it would not work the way I wanted it to. Whenever I would turn, I think it's left, with the left turn signal, nothing happened. No light on the dash, no clicking and ticking from the flasher, and no lighting up. And on the other side, it would. And so I took it out. I started looking at some connectivity with this splice and different things. I couldn't figure out what's going on. So I've got an expert coming to tell me what I've done wrong here. So stay tuned, and we'll be back in touch for part 2 of this installation.